Hello everyone, thanks for joining my YouTube channel. Today we'll delve into the continuation of the manga featuring Kanan sama wa Akuma de Choroi. Witness the blossoming love between Kyougi and Kanan as they navigate the demon realm. Relax and enjoy the content, and remember to hit the like button and subscribe. Lilim, after a prolonged absence, decides to surprise Kanan with a homemade cake. In the kitchen, she instructs Kyougi to stay out of her way, but he eagerly insists on staying, expressing his anticipation for her cooking. Upon hearing this, Kanan surprises her mother by joining the culinary efforts, showcasing a skill Lilim didn't know she possessed. Lilim appreciates Kanan's initiative and assigns her the task of cutting fruit. Initially struggling with the knife, Kanan's determination shines through as Lilim guides her. Despite initial worries about potential accidents, Kanan reassures her mother that she's doing fine, creating a heartwarming mother-daughter bonding experience in the kitchen. The aroma of the cake baking fills the air, symbolizing not just a delicious treat, but also the joy of unexpected shared moments. Kanan exhibits remarkable culinary finesse as she skillfully slices through the fruit, leaving Lilim in awe. Excitement bubbling, Lilim hastily reaches for her phone, eager to capture this inaugural cooking venture with Kanan. Despite Kanan's modest embarrassment, Lilim enthusiastically assigns her various kitchen tasks, vowing to document each utensil used meticulously. In good spirits, Kanan playfully remarks on her mother's newfound enthusiasm for cooking, suspecting it might be fueled by a romantic interest. The atmosphere lightens as Kyougi attempts a sneaky taste, only to have her hand swiftly rebuffed by Lilim, inducing a brief moment of panic. Yet, Kanan swiftly intervenes, diverting attention with the tantalizing aroma and taste of the food, erasing any traces of the incident from Lilim's mind. Milty playfully mocks Kanan for her cooking, suggesting it's an attempt to impress Kyougi, but Kanan denies it, insisting she's only trying to cater to their guests. Anxious about Milty, who has a history of taking her things, Kanan hesitates when Milty expresses a desire to taste the cake. Kanan, hoping Kyougi will be the first to try it, is reluctant to let Milty taste it. Milty, seemingly understanding Kanan's intention, questions if Kanan wants Kyougi to be the first to taste the cake. Kanan, deflecting, mentions concerns about potential poisoning, but eventually agrees when Kyougi volunteers to be the first to sample her inaugural cooking endeavor. In a playful moment, Milty mischievously suggests that Kanan should be the one to feed Kyougi the cake. After some good-natured persuasion, Kanan gives in and instructs Kyougi to open his mouth eagerly. However, just as the sweet exchange is about to happen, Milty cunningly intercepts, snatching the cake and devouring it herself. Despite Kanan's initial frustration, Milty insists the cake is too delectable to resist and proceeds to feed Kyougi another piece. Playfully, she points out that the fork now carries the essence of her lips, turning the cake sharing into an indirect kiss, much to Kanan's chagrin. The teasing banter escalates, leading to a lively chase around the room. Seeking refuge, Milty dashes to their amused mother, who is astonished at touching a man who isn't her husband. To everyone's surprise, their mother gleefully joins the fun, shoving a cake into Kyougi's mouth with infectious laughter. Kanan inquires if Lilim is getting used to Kyougi, emphasizing the importance of accepting him for their relationship to flourish. Lilim admits she might be adjusting, prompting Kanan to question how, given her apparent dislike for men, she ended up marrying her father. Lilim recounts that her mother introduced her to Beelzebub, and despite her initial repulsion toward men, Beelzebub's retort that he should be the one complaining intrigued her. Reflecting on their interactions, Lilim found herself wondering about his character and why she felt comfortable in his presence, despite not being proud of her own appearance. One evening, she adorned herself in provocative lingerie, carefully concealing it beneath a coat, planning to reveal herself to Beelzebub in the mysterious forest. However, to her surprise, Dagon, a peculiar tentacled entity, emerged from the shadows. He ensnared her with his writhing tentacles, asserting his intention to take her to his abode for safety. Distressed, she cried out for help, and in a twist of fate, Beelzebub intervened. With a swift action, he severed Dagon's tentacles and asserted his rightful claim on her. Seeking to console Lilim, Beelzebub suggested that her provocative attire may have invited trouble. When asked about the aftermath, Lilim explained that she later challenged Beelzebub to prove their love, ultimately leading to the birth of their children. Turning her attention to Kyougi, she emphasized the importance of men resisting desires and staying strong, deciding to put him to the ultimate test. Lilim brings Kyougi to a test of courage located in the demon realm, describing it as a shrine filled with vengeful spirits. She explains that the test will determine if he's a suitable match for Kanan, with the challenge being to complete the trip safely. However, she doesn't disclose that unlike human spiritual spots, actual spirits will appear in the demon realm. She plans to observe if Kyougi can protect Kanan from these spirits and is determined to give her blessing only if he remains calm and chaste despite her attempts at seduction. At the commencement of the test, Kanan grips onto Kyugi's clothes, expressing genuine concern about him potentially getting lost. The moment is interrupted by Lilim, who diverts attention by insisting her hair needs fixing. Kyougi, captivated by the graceful curve of Kanan's neck, is misinterpreted by Lilim, who assumes he's admiring her own neck. Initially dismissing him as a failure, Lilim reevaluates when she realizes his true focus is on Kanan. Despite Lilim's attempts to engage him in discussions about her attributes, Kyougi remains steadfast in his admiration for Kanan, first offering a compliment and later diverting attention to pet a passing cat. To everyone's astonishment, the cat transforms into a colossal creature, prompting a hasty retreat. As chaos ensues, Lilim ends up slipping into a pool of water, getting soaked. Yet Kyugi's only response is another complimentary remark about how alluring Kanan appears. Lilim reluctantly acknowledges Kyougi as Kanan's partner, recognizing his sincerity even if it comes at the expense of her own pride. Meanwhile, some spirits in the forest contemplate scaring Kyougi and the others, expressing concern since it involves Beelzebub's wife and daughter. Their boss, Kodagon, Dagon's daughter, emerges and rushes to attack upon seeing Lilim. She introduces herself and vows revenge on Lilim for breaking her father's heart in the past. Despite Lilim's apology for being in Dagon's territory, Kodagon remains steadfast in her determination for revenge. Kodagon unleashes her tentacles, prompting Kyougi to position himself in front of Lilim and Kanan in defense. However, she skillfully captures Kyougi with her tentacles, questioning his interference. Defiantly, Kyougi asserts that he won't allow her to harm the person he loves. Lilim, momentarily thinking he means her, loses focus, allowing Kodagon to ensnare her as well. Kodagon declares her intention to bind them together and expose them to shame. After some attempts, Kanan successfully employs lightning against Kodagon, freeing them. Reflecting on Kyugi's protective gesture, Lilim is moved when he approaches and offers his clothes to cover her. Overwhelmed with emotion, Kanan embraces him. At the Beelzebub mansion, Kanan and Jean are in the female bath while Kyougi is in the male bath. Kyougi expresses loneliness, prompting Jean to forbid him from crossing over. Meanwhile, Kanan is thrilled by her mother's growing acceptance of Kyougi. Jean, feeling uneasy about their closeness, poses a provocative question to Kyougi, who eavesdrops. Lilim unexpectedly joins the male bath and insists on washing Kyugi's back. Despite Kyugi's initial shock, Lilim praises him for protecting Kanan and declares acceptance of their relationship. Kyougi happily announces to Kanan that her mother has approved of their relationship. However, Kanan clarifies that she can't reciprocate his romantic feelings and will treat him like a son. Lilim insists on washing Kyugi's front, but he resists. Panicking, he calls for Kanan's help. She intervenes, separating them, and Lilim hands her the sponge to bathe Kyougi. Kanan, unsure how to handle the situation, stares at the unconscious and naked Kyougi, leading her to faint as well. Kanan wakes up in her bed and discovers Kyougi lying next to her, surprising her. Recollecting recent events, she assumes her mother and Amy orchestrated this for some privacy. Unsure of how to react, Kanan lies back on the bed and Kyougi extends his arm. When she turns to face him, she realizes he's awake, prompting her to jump back. Kyougi explores her room but soon feels dizzy. Kanan urges him to rest, and he collapses onto her, with his head on her lap. An annoyed Kanan questions his intentions, and he suggests that he might recover faster with her nursing him. Kanan eventually allows Kyougi to rest on her lap, and after some time, she apologizes, expressing disappointment that their trip has taken an unexpected turn. However, Kyougi reassures her, stating that he's enjoying the experience and has witnessed different facets of her and her family. Kanan smiles but playfully bites him, warning him about getting too familiar with her mother. She hints at consequences if he continues to jest around. The sudden knock on the door startles them, and Kanan tries to stop the person from entering. Meal enters, revealing that she heard Kanan collapse in the bath. Meal offers to sleep with Kanan until she feels better, but mistakenly rests on Kyugi's chest instead of Kanan's. Realizing the awkward situation, Kanan hides Kyougi beneath her with her leg and tail, not wanting her innocent sister to discover their closeness. Meal senses something amiss but can't identify it. Curious, she asks Kanan about her feelings for Kyougi, leaving Kanan surprised and unsure of how to respond with Kyougi present. Kanan confesses to Meal about making a contract to steal Kyugi's soul, but admits her guilt when she notices him crying. She acknowledges the joy of being with Kyougi, sharing heartwarming anecdotes. Meal, intrigued, asks if they've kissed, prompting Kanan to reluctantly confirm. Meal leaves, telling Kanan to rest well. When Kyougi appears, mistaking Kanan's bite for a kiss, he is joyous. Despite Kanan clarifying it as a figure of speech, Kyougi remains blissfully convinced they shared a kiss. Meanwhile, Meal ponders the possibility that Kyougi truly kissed her sister. Kanan wakes up the next morning feeling a bit disoriented because she couldn't sleep well, unsure of what might happen with Kyougi in the same room. To her surprise, Kyougi didn't make any advances. She goes over to where he's sleeping on the couch, commenting on how cozy he looks. When he wakes up, she hands him a hairbrush and suggests he help her comb her hair. Seeing his surprise, she explains that her hair is a mess after sleeping, and he should feel honored that she's allowing him to touch her hair. Despite seeming a bit annoyed, she tells him it's the least he can do. Confused about why she's irritated, he starts brushing her hair and compliments her on how glossy and pretty it is. Kanan enjoys the sensation as Kyougi brushes her hair, noting the difference compared to when Ami does it. She compliments his skills, and he attributes it to his experience brushing women's hair. Teasingly, she pinches him and questions whose hair he has been brushing. He explains it's for his elder sister, but when Kanan expresses a wish for him to brush her hair every day, they are both shocked at her unintended confession. Hastily, she tries to backtrack, claiming she didn't mean those words. Suddenly, Jean enters, suggesting that Kanan is attempting to seduce Kyougi. She adds that she wouldn't mind if he fell in love with Kanan, leaving both Kyougi and Kanan surprised by her unexpected statement. Jean reiterates at the dining room that she wouldn't mind if Kyougi fell in love with her. In response, Kanan questions if she is truly Jean, as she appears different. Jean clarifies that she just had her first bath since coming to Earth, surprising Kanan and Kyougi. Unfazed, Jean shifts the conversation, asking for their impressions. She then suggests to Kyougi that he might be better off dating her than a demon. Apologizing, Kyougi declines her proposition, leaving Jean embarrassed. She expresses frustration that she summoned the courage to confess, and he didn't even ask for time to think. Kanan becomes upset, but Amy intervenes, bringing in the food and urging them to eat before delving into further discussions. Amidst their meal, Kyougi candidly expresses to Jean that falling in love is a process that cannot be rushed merely by words. He emphasizes the significance of time and shared experiences, noting that genuine emotions need to evolve organically. Despite his honest explanation, Jean feels a twinge of remorse and promptly apologizes. However, undeterred, she suggests spending more time together as a means to foster a deeper connection. Acknowledging her sincerity, Kyougi offers another apology, gently explaining that emotions can't be forced. Unsettled by his response, Jean succumbs to a fit of wailing. Their intense moment is interrupted by the arrival of the head maid, who delivers an unexpected announcement. In a sudden twist, she declares that Jean is to face public execution for the alleged crime of stealing Kanan's underwear. Jean is taken aback by the accusation of stealing underwear, and the head maid brandishes her sword in anger. Questioning why she would choose to steal underwear, Jean's words infuriate the head maid, but Kanan intervenes to stop any escalation. The head maid then explains that during Kanan's previous bath, a maid discovered missing underwear when packing Kanan's clothes, and Jean was the only one not present in the bath at that time. Despite her protestations of innocence, no one seems to believe Jean. Milty arrives, adding to the mockery, and Jean continues to assert her innocence, feeling increasingly embarrassed by the situation. Suddenly, Jean recalls seeing Milty in the changing room and confronts her about it. Milty hastily denies any involvement and tries to escape, claiming she doesn't know what Jean is talking about. Jean gives chase and corners Milty, who confesses to wanting to play a prank. However, as Jean attempts to apprehend her, Milty skillfully evades, causing Jean's head to become stuck in the wall. The others arrive to witness Jean's predicament, and the head maid, unsympathetic, decides to strip her. However, to everyone's surprise, they realize that Jean isn't wearing any panties. And that concludes our delightful manga recap. The bond between Kyougi and Kanan continues to deepen even in the demon realm, and Jean finds herself in amusingly embarrassing situations. Be sure to enable notifications for the upcoming chapters of this fantastic manga recap. Stay tuned for more!